Hello, Internet. Good evening. Welcome to the Breakaway. I am Eric, and tonight I'm going to be playing the solo game of a game I just recently. Where's the box? I'm supposed to put it away. I just recently got from Kickstarter. It's called Vanguard of War. I did an unboxing earlier this week. I'm really excited to dig into a play session. You may have noticed that I have somebody with me. I would like to introduce Wayne the Wombat. I use Wayne as a stand-in when I do lighting and focus calibration. And for some reason tonight I just couldn't bear to uh, move him away. So he's going to join me and probably not get in the way, hopefully. A couple of changes. I made some slight camera swaps here, so let's see. We'll see if it actually makes things a little bit better. But we now have a boom cam above, so I can adjust its position. I do have to apologize. The components themselves are impossibly shiny, so there was absolutely no lighting configuration that I could come up with short of dimming them all to nothing that would prevent some form of reflection. So I do apologize if anything is a little difficult to see. So we have the board layout up here in front of me, and a close-up cam up here for card views and for dice rolls. So we'll get as much of the close detail as we can. So quick explanation of what we're looking at here. Vanguard of War is a sort of hero-based tower defense type of game. In the center we have our 4 heroes inside of the chapel. It's this 2x2 area in the middle, and this is what they're defending. On the outskirts, on the numbered dots 1, 2, 3, and 4, we have spawn points. Monsters are going to spawn on those points and then start moving along these tracks toward the chapel, which is their ultimate goal, is to do 10 points of damage to the chapel and thereby destroying it. I'm going to play all 4 of the heroes who are going to be attempting to stop that attack. The monsters are going to come in 7 waves of 3 different abominations. We have succubuses, succubi, I guess. They don't do very much damage, but they're very, very speedy. So they've got I don't know if this is actually going to come in very well, but here we go. And they're very fast and can quickly get to the citadel. To the chapel. Then we've got Felstrafer. These are the midway models. They do quite a bit of damage, a little bit slower, and have a little bit of armor. And lastly, we got Harvesters. These are the big heavies. They move much, much slower. They don't do very much damage either. You got to be up close to do them, but they've got armor, which means that you have to basically double up on the hits in order to get through there. So we'll see how that works in a second. They're also going to be joined by minions every time one of them appears. Every time one of them appears, we're going to roll for a variety of minions. There are 3 different kinds of them. These aggressively spiky little buggers here are assault minions. They make the abomination move faster, so 1 space faster for each one. And then we've got, these guys are artillery minions. They will make them roll 1 extra attack die, so make them hit a little harder. And then we've got brutes. Brutes are going to basically act as extra armor, extra defense. The minions are always going to be hit before the abominations are. So let's get right into the game, and then we'll explain everything. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the top 3 cards off of the spawn deck. So it's going to tell us what we're going to need to do here. So first we've got a Felstrafer. A Felstrafer is going to spawn on spawn area number 3. So let's get a Felstrafer over here. Let's get the music going. Hopefully that won't get too loud. All right, so he's going to spawn on zone 3, and I'm going to roll 2 die. And you'll notice there's a chart underneath that's going to tell us what kind of minions there's going to get. So if I roll a 1, nothing happens. A 2 or a 3, they get a artillery. A 4 and a 5, they get a brute, and a 6, they get an assault. So I rolled a 4 and a 5, so that means we're going to get 2 brutes along with that. So that one's going to be a tough takedown. All right, so those are spawned on 3. Next, we have a harvester who's also supposed to spawn on 3, but we can only spawn on 1 spot at a time. So we're going to move over to the next spot. He's going to spawn on 4. The harvester is being a big, slow, heavy, and we're going to roll 2 dice for that. We got a 4, which is nothing, and a 2, which is an artillery minion. So we'll put that over there. And last spawn, we have a harvester, again, who will appear on 4, but there's already a harvester on 4, so we'll go back around, spawn him on number 1. Whoops, those bounced right off the tray, but we got a 1 and a 5, so that's nothing and another artillery minion. All right, now we've spawned our abominations, and now they activate, starting with the on track 1, we have a harvester. So we noticed from his card a little bit earlier, his movement, his speed is 2. So we'll move him 2 spaces forward. And then he'll attack anything that's 1 space away. So there's absolutely no attack that he can actually make here. So nothing happens. Woo! That is louder than I thought it was going to be. Exciting, but louder. There we go. All right. Next, we're heading over to number 3. We have our Fellstrafer, who also moves 2. And he would attack anything within a range of 2, but there's nothing, so they're orthogonal, never diagonal. So 1, 2, 1, 2, nothing in these spots, so no attack gets made. And finally, the harvester on these squares move forward, and again, there's nothing there to immediately attack. So that ends the movement for the waves. And now we move on to the heroes' turns. Now I have the 4 heroes in the center. We've got their cards around the outside. I got Sergeant Specs, Ashira, Lord Viscerite, and Lieutenant Zikkirk, I believe it's pronounced. They all have different sort of fantasy type archetypes. So like, for example, Lord Viscerite is your tank. He's got more hit points than everybody else. He's good smashing up close, a little weak up far. Lieutenant Zikkirk, it's Xik apostrophe Kirk, is your close-up, like your roguish type close-up damage dealer. Ashira is kind of your mage, and Sergeant Specs is your dwarf, kind of a multi-purpose type. So I can decide which ones to activate in any order. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. No, can't really do anything here much from an attack perspective. But let's get Lieutenant Zikkirk to move out here. So he's got a movement speed of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's actually not what I was hoping to be able to do. Let's bring him back. I want to move him, so it would be nice to be able to move him somewhere we can get an attack in. But since that looks like it's not happening, let's get... biggest range combat, so we're going to... Oh, no, I can't even get her in there. Got to do something. All right, so we're going to move. We are going to activate Lieutenant Zikkirk. He's going to move 4, and then he's going to use 1. You can use, while you're doing your movement, you can use the action points that you would use during attacks to move an additional space. So he's going to use 1 of those, leaving him with 2 action points. And on his card here is you can't quite clearly see here, but there's a series of attacks. Basic attacks. Let's see if I can bring this up close here. Which note their AP costs and what we can do with them. So Again, there's a lot of uh, there are some different options that we can take here. So Dance of Blades, I can roll 5 dice, so that's high damage, and I hit on a 3 or more in range 1. But Pierce will ignore 1 armor, which the Harvester has 2. So I'm going to go ahead and use my 2 AP on a Pierce attack. Okay, so I have only the 1 hit. And unfortunately, that's all I'm going to be able to do. Now, that 1 hit is all it's going to do is going to take away the minion. And none of the other hits go through, so nothing happens to the Harvester. And that's the end of Lieutenant Kirk's move. He has no more AP. Everybody else is pretty slow. So let's go ahead and move in. I really don't like this combinations. It's really nasty here. So 1, 2, 3, and Lord Visceret doesn't have anything that he can really do here. So what he's going to end up doing is he's going to use 1 AP to search the ground on his feet. I'm going to lower the volume on that music down. I don't know how loud it is on the stream, but it's pretty loud in here. All right. So searching the area allows me to draw a card off the top of the Explorer deck, and it gives us, in this case, a consumable item, a cluster mine. Place this card on an adjacent field. All minions in the first wave to enter this field are slain. So that is his first AP. I'm actually going to use the AP to do that. Getting rid of those two brutes right away would be extremely useful. And that's going to be about it for Lord Visceret. We're going to leave Sergeant Specs right where he is. He has this wonderful ability to use a guided missile for 2. Actually, no, let's move him out so that he can do a search afterwards. So let's get his movement out here. And then he's going to use this guided missile, which can hit any square on the board. Hits on a 3 or more. So 3 dice hit on a 3 or more. We got 2. Oh, by the way, we're aiming here. We got 2 hits, so that's going to take care of the minion, but 1 hit is not enough to get to the armor of the Harvester. So nothing's going to happen there. And then he's going to search the ground at his feet. And he's going to gain a booby trap. So there's negative effects in here as well. The booby trap gives 2 damage directly to this hero. Fantastic. So we got 2 damage for Sergeant Specs for his curiosity. Now Ashira can only move 2 spaces. Has a bit of range on her. So shock. So we'll move Ashira out here. She is in range to hit this Harvester right here. She's going to use her shock attack, which is range 3, 3 dice, hits on a 3 or more. So you got a 2, a 6, and a 4. Now Ashira's special ability is every time she rolls, she can roll 1 of her die. She will reroll this one, and she nails a 6. So that's 2 damage that goes toward the armor, 1 damage that hits the Harvester. That will kill this Harvester. And Ashira will gain a point of Essence, which is a form of XP that we can use to revive heroes, and then along with another resource, we can actually upgrade them. And then she's going to use her last AP to search the ground below her. And we get Fellfire. Place this card on an adjacent field. All minions in the lane are slain after the wave enters the field. So after the wave enters the field. How is this any different from cluster mine? All minions in the first wave to enter this field are slain. Oh, in the lane. All minions in the lane are. Oh, that's really powerful. We want to put that one close to the chapel. All right. So all four heroes have taken their activations. We're now going to move on to the next spawning. So we've got on 4, we're spawning a succubus. So there's 2 sculpts to all of these models. So succubus spawns there. And we will be generating an assault and artillery. That's a nasty combination there. Assault and artillery for the succubus. Next, we've got a Felstrafer, supposed to go on 4, but because 4 is already filled up, the Felstrafer will go onto 1. And we're going to get just an artillery minion. And lastly, a Harvester will appear on 1. There's already a minion on 1, so it's going to show up on 2. And with it, we're going to get 2 nothings, just a Harvester on his own. So now we start movement. Start on lane 1 again with the first wave moving forward. So this Harvester will move 2, nothing to attack. This Felstrafer will move 2, and again, nothing to attack, nothing in a range of 2. Moving on to lane 2, this Harvester will move 2. Moving on to lane 3, this Felstrafer will move 2, and this will immediately blow up both brutes in the lane. So we can get rid of this cluster mine. However, the Felstrafer here is going to attack Lord Visceret. So it's 3 dice on a hit of 4+ hits. So that'll be 2 damage to Lord Visceret. Whoops, that's not a damage token. That's an explore token. There we go. 2 damage token. He can never take more than 2 damage in any single attack, so it's worth putting him out there. And lastly, 4, we've got the succubus along with assault, so she's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. She is in range of Lieutenant Zickkirk. I'll figure it out at some point. So we'll make an attack. Succubus normally rolls 2 die. However, due to the assault minion that's in her space, we're going to roll 3. And she hits on the 3+, so this could actually be a really nasty attack. And it is a very nasty attack. We've hit all 3 above 3, so that will be 3 damage to Lord Zickkirk. And he only has 4 HP, so he is very close now to falling. Like I said, not a huge deal. We can revive them for the cost of essence, but still, it's rather not have that happen. All right, and now on to the hero activation. Everybody's almost perfectly in position to do stuff for the most part. Let's start with, we'll start by moving Ashira over 1. She's going to try to pare this down a little bit. Let's go with her shock attack. So that's 3 die, 3+ hits, has a range of 3. Nothing there has armor, so 3 clean hits will clear the entire space out, and that'll do it. So both minions go first, and the succubus has no armor, so that hit goes straight through. And Ashira gets another essence for having defeated an abomination and basically kept Lieutenant Zickkirk safe. With her last AP, we're going to search the ground beneath her. Oh, actually, no. She's got 2 items, so it's not worth... Well, she might get an essence or... We got Demon's Blood. This hero takes 2 damage and gains 3 AP for this round. This consumable costs no AP, so it's something usable. She could use to discard. I'm actually going to just straight up discard it, since the items she currently has, she's got her own personal teleporter, and that Fellfire, which will wipe out all the minions in one lane, seems pretty useful to me. Let's see what else we can clear out here. Okay, so Visceret's right there. But let's take a step back. So his movement, he's just going to take 1 step back, just so that he's on an empty space. We are going to use his hammer throw attack. So that's 3 die, 3+ hits for 2 AP. So that is 2 hits. So 1 for the Fellstrafer's armor and 1 damage directly to the Fellstrafer. So the Fellstrafer is out. And Lord Visceret gets 1 essence. And we'll go ahead and use the last AP to search the ground there. And we gain a Divine Blessing Scroll. After it's used, the next skill this hero uses this round is free. Interesting. That's actually pretty useful. We can use Heavy Blow, which is an armor ignoring attack. And just so absolutely for free, that's actually kind of useful. So next, really need to do something about if I can get Lord Zitkirk to move over here, I can do something about these guys, because if they move in, they're just going to blast them. So let's just go ahead and activate Sergeant Specs. Actually, he's going to. No, that's not going to be worthwhile. We're going to move him 1 over, and he's going to use his guided missile again. So hits anything on the board, rolls 3 die, and at 3+ hits. So we have 2 hits. 1 is enough to get rid of the artillery, but unfortunately the other one is not going to get, the other hit is not going to get through the Fellstrafer's armor. However, no, not in range to do the basic attack. So that's all the sergeant's going to be able to do for the moment. So we're going to use his last AP to search the ground. And he gains an essence. He immediately gains 1 essence token. Now we got to figure out what we want to do with the unfortunately slightly damaged Lieutenant Zitkirk. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to move him 1, 2, 3 here, and we're going to use his unique item, the throwing daggers. So it's a 3 range attack. You roll 4 dice and a 3+ hits, and we're going to do it on this harvester right here. Keep him a little bit out of trouble. He's probably going to get blasted anyway, but at least, actually, you know what? Let's move him back here. What a terrible, terrible roll. 3 1s and a 6. That's, out of all of that, it's 1 damage, not enough to go over the Harvester's 2 armor. So unfortunately, that attack pretty much wasted. Every other, all of Lieutenant Zitkirk's other attacks are will have to be done from 1 space away, so there's no real attack that can make here. So let's go ahead and search the ground, and hopefully nothing explodes on him. Lure. All demon waves move 1 closer to the church. Not a nice thing, but at least it didn't do any damage to him. All right, all 4 heroes have moved, so we go on to spawning. In lane 2, we are spawning a Harvester, which I think is pretty much almost all of them. I think we've spawned all 5 of them already. Lane 2, a Harvester, and we will roll for minions. 3 and a 5, so just an assault minion on this this Harvester. Next, we have lane 3, a Fellstrafer. here. And for his minions, we have a 6 and a 5, so that's 1 brute and 1 assault. And for the last, we have on lane 2, was already on lane, spawn on lane 2 and on lane 3, so we'll end up on lane 4. Succubus. And Succubus will get no minions. Rolls a 5 and a 6, so she's on her own. We move the minions in lane 1 first. So 1, 2. This Harvester is now in range to smack around Ashira. Harvester has a rolls 2 dice for the attack on a hits on a 4+. And that's 2 hits. So 2 damage out of 4 hit points for Ashira. Next, we've got the Felstrafer in lane 1 moves. He is in range of Sergeant Specs, so he will make an attack. That's 3 and hits on a 4+. And we have 2 hits. That will knock out Sergeant Specs. So we're going to be able to revive him in the chapel if we spend an essence, or there are items that are going to do that. But for the moment, he's down. Next, we move on to lane 2. Harvester moves up 2. This Harvester, thanks to the assault minion, will move 3. And no one there to fight. Now on lane 3, we have this Felstrafer. He also has an assault minion, so his group will also move 3. And there's nothing in attack range, so no attack will be made here. And lastly, we've got Lone Succubus in lane 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Succubus has a range of 2, so she can strike at Ashira. So it's 2 dice, hits on a 3 or more. It's 1 damage. Ashira's 1 away from going down. All right. Well, let's start by getting Sergeant Specs back. We're going to get Ashira to move into the chapel. She's going to use 1 AP and an essence to revive Sergeant Specs. Then we're going to move her. We're going to use her. So use her next AP to use her Greater Teleport Scroll, which allows you to move a range of 5 anywhere from her current position. So we're going to put her right here because we really need to start doing some things to clear out here. She only has 1 AP left, so we're going to use her basic attack. 3 dice, 4+ hits, range of 2. One at the head first. Needs all 3 hits in order to kill, and that's not going to happen. I don't even need to bother re-rolling because I need all 3 hits in order to kill that Harvester. So that'll be the end of Ashira's turn. Next, let's get Sergeant Specs involved. We do need to get some help in here. So let's get him right up close and personal. Actually, he doesn't need to be up and close and personal because the guided his rocket barrage hits everything on adjacent spaces. But because these guys are so well armored, there's no real point unless I could do 6 damage and run roll, which isn't happening. So it's best to get just the extra range off of the guided missile on any one field. So again, we'll target the same field. And again, just the 1 hit. That's not going to do it. It's a little bit of bad luck on the dice rolls. and he's not close enough to use his other weapons. So I guess we're going to search the ground here too. And he's been a little unlucky, so hopefully we'll find something good. We got another essence token. So that's pretty good. Well, Lord Visceret's basically taking care of this lane all on his own here. Let's move up and let's you go ahead and use Heavy Blow. So all 3 of his AP hits on a 3+ and ignores all armor. So basically, I get 3 hits. I clear out the entire space. That would definitely be 3 hits. So the whole space is cleared. And Lord Visceret gets 1 essence. All right, we've got our damaged friend, Lieutenant Zirk. I can't Lieutenant Kirk. Let's just call him Kirk. What's the end of the last part of his name here? Let's get him up close and personal with this harvester. If he's going to go down, he's going to go down. He's going to use Pierce. This will ignore 1 armor, which is good. The harvester's got 2. So we've got all 4 hits. That's enough. That harvester's gone. We've got an essence for Lieutenant Kirk. Nothing ranged. He's going to get blasted in the face by that Fellstrafer on the next turn. And he can't search the ground here. So there really isn't anything else that he's going to be able to do. And I believe that's all 4 activations, so we will now move on again to spawning. Once we get going, this moves at a fair clip. So lane 1, we have a Succubus. That Succubus will be joined by just 1 Brute. Next, we have a Fellstrafer who can't appear in lane 1, so he will appear in lane 2. And he will be joined by a Brute as well. And lastly, a Succubus in lane 3. Where's the other skull? Succubus there. These are all exceptionally pointy models, by the way. And Succubus will be joined by a Brute and an Assault. There we go, Brute and an Assault. All right, let's start with lane 1. Okay, actually, the Fellstrafer is no longer going to attack Lieutenant Kirk because he is now in range of the chapel itself. That Fellstrafer is now going to make an attack directly on the chapel. So 3 dice, 4+ hits, sorry. Hopefully I can roll as crappy, just 1 damage. Okay, so we've got 1 damage to the chapel. And then our Succubus moves up 1, 2, 3, nothing in range, so no attack is made. Lane 2, crowded lane. This Harvester moves up and makes the attack against the chapel. 2 dice, 4+ hits. We got 1 hit, that was a 5. So it's 1 damage to the chapel. Next, this Harvester moves. He's got an Assault, so he'll move up 3. And he's stuck here, though, because he can't move anywhere else, and there is nothing to attack. And Fellstrafer moves up, nothing to attack, nothing in range. Lastly, we have the Succubus, who's got an Assault and a Brute. She moves 1, 2, 3. She's right up in Lord Visceret's face, so that will be an attack. So 2 dice, 3+ hits. That's 1 hit on Lord Visceret. All right, that's it for the wave. Let's start attack. Let's start getting some attacks going here. Well, it's kind of obvious that I want to. go ahead and use Lord Visceret's Divine Blessing Scroll, so the next action he takes is free. So he's going to go ahead and take and use the Heavy Blow. So that was 1 AP for that action, yeah, out of his 3. But the Heavy Blow costs nothing. So it ignores armor, 3 dice on a 3+ hits. And we've got all 3 hits again. So that's going to clear out the entire lane. Giving him 1 essence. We're going to use his next AP to search his space. Ascension. This gives him an Ascension token. This is the other consumable that will allow us to level up. So 1 Ascension token, and I believe this is where a reference card would be really nice that unfortunately was not included with the game. 7 essences and 1 Ascension. So we need 4 more essences to be able to level up Lord Visceret. And for his last AP, he's actually going to use his Bloody Ether, which is his personal item. He heals up for 3 life, so we bring him back down to no damage. I think he's just liking, it's like a conveyor belt, really. Just the abominations and minions coming down, and he just smashes them with his hammer the whole time. So that's pretty good. Let's see here. Lane 2 is starting to worry me significantly. That's not going to take effect until next turn. Let's see. There's a lot of armor in that lane too. That's what worries me more than anything else. Let's go ahead and see if we can get rid of this harvester up here with Lieutenant Kirk here. He's just standing right next to him. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and do a pierce attack. Actually, do I want to? Yeah, he's going to get attacked by the succubus one way or another. Let's move him here first, so he'll be able to do a search action on the next turn. We'll do a pierce attack, which will ignore armor, so I just need the 1 hit. That's enough. So Felstrafer goes away, and Lieutenant Kirk gets an essence, and he'll use his last AP to search the battlefield. And he gets a Frenzy Pill. This hero gains 2 AP for this round. This consumable costs no AP. We're actually going to use this immediately. No, actually, I'm going to hold off until the next turn. I'm going to need to use it. No, actually, I am going to use it, and I'm going to use Kirk's Leap ability to move him to a range of 4, so he can cross over. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll put him in range to help with this mess that we've got in lane 2 now. And now we've got Ashira and Sergeant Specs, who are trying desperately to do something with this ridiculous lane over here. Carmine adjacent field. Let's move Sergeant Specs up 1 here. He's going to use his landmine, his landmine ability. So he's going to put that on the field up here. It'll do 3 damage to whatever comes in, which will at least eliminate the brute minion. Then he's going to fire his rocket barrage. So range of 2, 3 dice, hits on a 3+, but the damage can also spill over. So actually no, that's not even, doesn't really matter. Which this will have to take 3 hits in order to kill anyway. Which one of his abilities missed? So it's all 3 hits. So let's gather all these over here. All 3 of the attacks hit. So this guy is toast. Sergeant Specs gains an essence. I gotta remember too, Sergeant Specs has 1 armor. And I think he wouldn't have died if I had actually used that. So lesson learned. I'll just have to remember to do it next time. So that'll do it for Sergeant Specs' turn. I wonder if I can put multiple. I should be able to. Should be able to put multiple things on. So let's put the Fellfire on the same. See if there's a rule about that. It's the first time it's ever come up. Let's see. Consumables. Doesn't say. So we got them both there. So it'll wipe out the minions and do 3 damage. That would be enough to clear out that space when it moves. But then let's go ahead and she's going to fire off her shock attack. So 3 dice, 3 plus hits, range 3, or you know what? No, banish. 2 AP. She places 1 target wave on the empty field closest to its spawn point. So move it all the way back to the beginning. So at least we'll have a bit of a respite from things directly hitting the. Well, no, sorry, that succubus is going to hit the chapel next round. All right, spawn. I think we're 3 waves away from the big boss. On lane 1, we will have a Spell Strafer, and he will be accompanied by an assault and artillery. So he will move faster and hit a little bit harder. Next, we've got another Fell Strafer who will appear on lane 4, accompanied by, got a 1 and a 5, so nothing, and an artillery minion. And finally, another Fell Strafer, this time on lane 2. Lane 2, again, clogged. And 5 and 6, so accompanied by nothing. So we start with lane 1. We have the succubus moving. 1, 2, 3. Lieutenant Kirk is in range of this hit, so he will be attacked. So 2 die, 3 plus hits. That's enough. Lieutenant Kirk is down. So we'll have to spend some time to go revive him. Right, the chapel wasn't close enough. And now the Fell Strafer will also move 3 because of the assault. There's nothing, assault minion, there's nobody in range. So we'll move on to lane 2. All right, so these 2 go into the space, and first we trigger the Fellfire. The Fellfire eliminates all minions in the lane after a wave enters, so we're going to lose the Brute and the Assault. And then does 3 damage, which will destroy the Fell Strafer. I don't know if anybody gets an essence for that. I'm going to assume that Sergeant Specs does for having laid down the landmine. Next, we've got the Harvester moves up 2, and the Fell Strafer then also moves up 2. We got nothing on lane 3. Succubus will move up 3 spaces, and she will attack the chapel. 2 die on a 3 plus hits. So 1 damage will go to the chapel. And next we have a Fell Strafer with, that's only 2 spaces, so that's where he ends up stopping. All right, hero's turn. Now I really wish I had Lord Visceret on this side of the board. He was doing very, very well over there on the other side with the lane 3. So we're going to move him actually 2 over. That's his. He's got a speed of 3, but we'll move him 2 over, and he's going to use his hammer toss against the succubus. So that's range of 2, 3 die, 3+ hits. We only need the 1 hit. That's enough. That's a dead succubus, and Lord Visceret gets another essence. Nothing much else you can do, so he will search the space that he's in for 1 AP. And he gains a Eagle Eye Scroll. The next attack or skill used by this hero this round has +1 accuracy. This consumable not cost no AP. So if I really need everything to hit, that's going to be a good one. Ooh. Neither Ashira or Sergeant Specs are fast enough to get directly into the chapel in order to revive Lieutenant Kirk. They can only move 2 spaces. So what I will do is I will move Sergeant Specs a little bit closer. He's going to make another guided missile attack, but he's actually going to fire it over here because it's got no range limit. So and these guys got a lot of minions now. This has been cleared out slightly. So he'll fire at this space here. So 3+ hits. We got 2 hits and 1 miss. So that was a 6. So that'll be enough to get rid of the minion, but not the abomination. So the succubus gets to stay on her space. And I believe that will have to do it for Sergeant Speck's turn. We are then going to move on. Well, we can only really move on to Ashira, who is going to use her shock attack on the harvester here. She's actually going to move 1, 2, 3. Yeah, fine. Move 1 over so she can do a search afterwards. Oh, sorry. So she won't get. Will she get attacked? Yeah, she will. The only place I can move her that. No, actually, she'll get attacked there too. 1, 2. No, she's gonna get attacked one way or another. So let's move her over 1. We're gonna actually do the shock to him. That'll prevent her from getting attacked. So 3+ hits. That's 3 6s. That's more than enough to kill the Felsarge. So she'll get another essence. Kind of wish I had used Chain Lightning now instead. Well, no, that wouldn't have made a difference. The damage, again, because of the Harvester's high armor, that damage wouldn't have crossed over. So that's all of our living heroes. Still haven't managed to resurrect. That's all. Yeah. So that's all we've got. So we've got to move on to spawn. We got a succubus in lane 1. She's going to be joined by nothing. 4 and 1, complete whiff. So no minions will join the succubus in lane 1. Succubus in lane 2. Joined by an artillery minion. And finally, so this is the 6th wave, so second to last wave, another succubus in lane 4, joined by another artillery minion. All right, so let's move the waves up, starting with wave 1. Succubus moves up, and she will make an attack on the chapel. That's 2 6s, 2 hits. Chapel has max HP of 10, so we're halfway there now. Next, we've got the Felstrafer is going to move forward 3, 1, 2, 3. Not in range to attack anything. And lastly, the Succubus will move up 3 and move on to lane 2. Harvester will move 2. No one to attack. Succubus moves up 3. Also, no one to attack. Lane 3 is empty. Lane 4, Felstrafer moves up 2. No one to attack. Succubus moves up 3. Okay, so here's 1, 2, 3. Oh no, they don't get bumped up. So if there was something ahead, it would actually push them forward. Succubus does have Lord Visceret in range. Because of the artillery minion, she will roll 3 die instead of 2 and hits on a 3+. So that's 2 damage to Lord Visceret. And that will do it for the minions activation, for the lane activation. So now let's move on to, let's move on to the heroes. First thing, we're going to activate Sergeant Specs. He's going to move in and spend 1 AP to revive Lieutenant Kirk, and then he is going to make Actually, I don't believe that he can. I don't think he actually can make an attack from inside the chapel. I'm pretty sure it blocks line of sight. Let me double check that. I've never attempted it before because everything else has a his guided missile has a limited range, but I'm assuming the chapel has a ceiling. Yeah, okay, so you can't attack from inside the chapel. So he used his AP. I suppose he can actually use the Gravedigger skill. So draw 2 exploration cards. We've got an Essence and a Landmine. We just used up the Essence. Landmine's kind of useful. Does 2 damage when a wave enters, so that could be useful. I think I'm going to take the Landmine. You could just kill something to get another Essence. So we'll grab the Landmine. Let's go ahead and activate Lord Visceret. He's actually going to keep his distance. He's not going to move up because these guys are going to just move onto this space on the next turn and attack the church. So he's going to just use his hammer toss on these guys here. So it's 3 dice, 3+ hits. Ugh. 1, 2, and 3. So that's only 1 hit. That's enough to get rid of the artillery, but not the succubus. And unfortunately, I kind of wish I'd used my Eagle Eye Scroll last time. Only 1 AP left, so not really much of anything that I can do at the moment. So that's going to be it for Lord Visceret. Let's activate Lieutenant Kirk, who's going to move here. His first attack is going to be a pierce attack against the group ahead of him. So this one here. So all 3 hits. It ignores 1 armor. So that's 1 hit should be 3 hits should be enough to clear out the entire field. That'll do it. So these guys are all gone, and Lieutenant Kirk gets another essence. And then he's going to make his basic attack, which is 3 die, 3+ hits on the succubus that's right up next to the church. And that's more than enough to kill her as well. So we've got 6, 6, and 3. So toast and another essence for Lieutenant Kirk. And lastly, we have Ashira. One, two, three. That's enough to attempt a shock attack. because it will attack the both of them will attack the church. If I actually, let's go ahead and we're going to target a we're going to move her one space over, and we're going to target a chain lightning attack on this character, the harvester. Any hits that if we manage to roll all 4 hits, um, fingers crossed, then it'll actually take out the minion on it'll end up taking out this minion as well, because it moves down the lane. But unfortunately, only get 1 hit there, and not even again worth using her special ability. Um, However, what we will do is we will make a regular attack on the harvester. It is a no. Let's not do it on the harvester. Let's switch to the other 2. So that's 2 hits. That's enough. That'll clear that out. And another essence for Ashira. All right, that's all 4 heroes. Now time for the final spawning round of abominations and minions, and then our boss comes and hits. So we've got a fell starter in lane 2. He's going to be joined by just an artillery minion. We have a harvester who will supposed to show up in lane 2, but because lane 2 already has somebody spawned, will show up in lane 3. Joined by a brute. No, nothing. I didn't knock that over, did I? Could have sworn it was. I think it was a 4. Let's not cheat here. Joined by a brute. And the last abomination is a succubus in lane 3, which is already full, so it's going to move over to lane 4. Which is a rather, because I've got stuff in every lane now. Joined by a artillery and assault minion. It's going to get 1 extra die and 1 extra point of movement. Right, starting with lane 1. Succubus moves up 3 and comes to attack Lieutenant Kirk. That's 2 die, 3 plus hits. 1 hit. Moving on to lane 2. Harvester moves up and attacks the church. 2 die, 4 plus hits. We got 1 hit on the church. And then the Fell Strafer moves up 2. There's nothing in range, so nothing gets attacked. Lane 3. These guys move up 2. Nothing's in range, so nothing gets attacked. And then the super clogged up lane 4. Starting with the Fell Strafer, who moves up 2. The church is in range, so they will prioritize the church. This is 4 die, 4 plus hits. So 2 hits. We are now at 8. Ow. Succubus moves up 3. 1, 2. All right, now we've got a situation in which they're too close, so the Succubus will move up. The chapel is in range. The church is in range, so 2 die, 3 plus hits. 1 hit. We are down to 1 HP on the church. And then this Succubus will move up 4. Nobody is in range, so no attack happens here. So I've got to basically clear out everybody who's threatening the church right now. Otherwise, once this boss shows up, we are in deep trouble. So what are we going to start with? Let's see here. 3's okay for the moment. 4, I really need to get rid of this guy. This is obviously, 4 is obviously the most dangerous out of all of this. I really need to start culling this. Even the next round, these 2 are gonna come straight down. So let's start with Sergeant Specs. Sergeant Specs is going to use 1 AP to drop this landmine. Actually, we're going to put that back here. And then he's going to use his rocket barrage attack. So that's 3 dice, 3 plus hits on this square. No, I might as well put it on this square here. Not that it really matters which attack he uses. Again, that it'll be all absorbed. So that's 2 hits. Unfortunately, that's not enough to clear him out. That'll take the minion off, though, because the Fell Striker has 1 armor. Probably would have been better off going against the Succubus. I suppose I could assign the second hit to the Succubus. Let's go ahead and do that. All right. Then we are going to activate Lord Visceret, who's going to move over here. I kind of want to save that Eagle Eye Scroll. I really would like to use it, but I kind of want to save it. We're going to use his we're going to use his hammer toss attack, even though it's out of range. 3 die, 3 plus hits on the Fellstrafer. So that is 2 hits. That's enough. He's gone. And that's about all I can do right now. Lieutenant Zitkirk is going to go ahead and do a Dance of Blades. So that's 5 dice, 3 plus hits on the Succubus, which is probably going to be, unless I know I almost said something here. It could be almost impossible failure here. So 3 hits. Succubus is gone. And we'll do a search on the ground below him, giving us an essence. So we'll immediately get another essence token. And lastly, we have Ashira. We're going to go ahead and try the Chain Lightning attack again on the Harvester up front. So it's 4 die, 4 plus hits. We got 2 hits, but Ashira can re-roll 1 of the die. So we're going to re-roll 1 of them. That's 3 hits. That's enough. No other hits travel down the path, though. And so she's going to search this space as well while she has the chance. Spirit of Life, which is basically instantly revive 1 hero. That hero may activate this round if they have not already done so. So very useful instead of having to run back to the church to try to do revive somebody. All right, so we have reached the end of the spawn. So this means that the Taskmaster boss appears. He always lands in lane 1. If we manage to, he has 10 HP. If we manage to kill him, all minions, all abominations will turn tail and run toward their respective spawn points. But we still have to keep the church alive in the meantime. So the Taskmaster will move up 3. There's nothing to attack. His range is 2, so nothing to attack around him. Then we move on to lane 2. These guys will attack Ashira, which is not good. That's 4 die, 4 plus hits. She can only take 1 hit. And that'll be enough for 1 hit. We got 3, well, this was actually another 5. So we got 2 5s. So Shira goes down again. Oh no, she didn't go down before. Sergeant Specs and Lieutenant Kirk did. Lane 3. These guys move up 2. Nothing in range to attack. These guys will move up 2, and then the landmine will go off, doing 2 damage, which will eliminate both minions, but the succubus will continue on and will make her attack on the chapel. If this attack succeeds, then it is game over. If it doesn't, then we survive for 1 more round. So fingers crossed. Sadly, the succubus puts the last damage onto the church, and we are now at 10 damage. That's enough. That'll do. That'll finish it off. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to defend the church properly. Sadness. This went so well the first time I played as well. Well, actually, I was up to about 8 damage, and I managed to. If I hadn't killed the Taskmaster in that round, so let's. Here's what we'll do. We'll assume that just to finish this off, we'll assume that hit went through, didn't go through. Just so that we can finish this off and have our last combat against the Taskmaster. If I got another hit in here, then we'll call it. We'll call it what it is. That was lane 4. So now it's down to the heroes. Obviously, we need to do something about our friend the Taskmaster here. So let's right away. Let's throw Lieutenant Kirk into the fray. He has armor of 1, so I'm going to use Pierce. So we'll ignore 1 armor. 4 die, 3 plus hits. So that's 2 hits. So we have 2 damage on the Taskmaster. So there's a card down here. 2 damage on the Taskmaster, and now he's going to use his regular attack. 3 die, 3 plus hits. But again, there's 1 armor, so all 3 hits. So 1 for the armor, and then 2 additional damage. So he's down to 4. Not a good scene here at all. So the best bet here is to use. Let's move Sergeant Specs. No, he'll move. You can just move into the chapel. There's no real reason to move him at all. We'll move him on the same space as Lord Viscerite, just to be closer. And he's going to use his guided missile attack on this space because we need to keep them away from the church for the final damage. The final damage. So hopefully this will be enough to kill him. No, not. Just 2 damage, so it's enough to get rid of the artillery. What we can do is take his final shot as his regular attack. We can take it against the succubus, who's right up at the front. So it's a 4 plus hits here. 3 dice, 4 plus hits. That's 2 hits, so that is enough to get rid of the succubi. Then we're going to activate Lord Visceret. who can only move this far. Well, it can use 1 AP to move closer, and then use 2 AP to do his hammer toss, which is 2 damage. That's enough. That'll kill this fell strafer. We still don't have Ashira back up and running. Whoops, that belongs to Lord Visceret. But hopefully we'll be able to do something next turn. So now there's no spawning. We just go straight away to move to resolving the lanes. So the Taskmaster will move 3, 1, 2, 3. Their chapel is not in range, but Lieutenant Lieutenant Kirk is. So the Taskmaster attacks 2 dice, 2 plus hits. That's enough for 2 damage. 1 more for Lieutenant Zick Kirk, and he will go down. Next, we have the monsters in lane 3 will move up. They will attack. Again, they can't attack the church, but they can attack Lieutenant Specs. So it's 2 damage, 2 dice, 4 plus hits. So no hits here. So complete whiff. Also, Sergeant Specs has armor. All right. Let's start with Lieutenant Kirk. He's going to move in for another Pierce attack. We've got 2 hits, so 2 damage. Taskmaster is up to 6. And then a regular attack. That's 1 hit. That's not enough to overcome his armor, so that does nothing. Next. Unless we can manage to kill him, which I don't think is possible. Because the Taskmaster is going to come right up to the church, and he's going to make his attack next turn. So unless I can manage to do 4 damage to him, which I don't think is going to be possible in the current status. All right, let's move Sergeant Specs in. He's going to use 1 essence and revive Ashira, and then use 2 to do a Gravedigger. He gets a Stimulants. Hero gains 1 AP. And Wild Magic, place all heroes inside the church. That actually might be kind of useful. So, but that unfortunately gives up all of his AP right away because he used 1 for reviving, 2 for doing the dive. Oh, Wild Magic, sorry, is a bad event. It'll happen no matter what. Actually, so I'll let that happen because that'll move Lord Visceret inside. So Lord Visceret can take his movement and do a Mighty Heavy Blow, which we'll use the Eagle Eye Scroll for to bring up his accuracy by 1. So that means he hits on a 2+, 3 die, ignores armor, hits on a 2+, and that all 3 hits. So now we just need 1 more, which is where Ashira is going to step out. And let's go with a shock. Only needs 1 damage. And that'll do it. All 3 will hit. That's enough to destroy the Taskmaster. What do you get for destroying the Taskmaster? So she would gain 1 hero, 1 essence, and 1 ascension for killing this guy. And now for the remainder of the spawns, So now we would go back to spawning, but these guys would turn tail and run back to their spawn point. So if we can clear them out, we would still get the essence for them. So if we activate, we'll send Lieutenant Kirk up against them. He's going to use a pierce attack. Woo. No, not a great one. Only 2 damage. So that will get rid of the brute minion, but we'll leave the harvester up. He still has 1 action point though, so he's going to use his basic attack. And you need to hit all 3 of these. So 3 die, 3 plus hits. No, that's not enough. So only the 2 hits. That's not enough to overcome the harvester's armor. So the harvester still stays up. See, let's just send everybody after him. That's the only guy left. 1, 2, 3. Oh, he's not going to be able to hit Lord Visceret's. Well, 1, 2. Sorry, that'll be 4. So 1 AP for Lord Visceret to move 1 extra space, and then he's going to use his hammer toss. So range of 2, 3 die, 3 plus hits. Again, we need all 3 hits. That'll do it. All 3 hits. And that clears off the last of the abominations. So that is the end of what basically is tier 1. That's the easiest tier of this game. Despite the fact that we had to cheat just a teeny little bit to get past here. We didn't let any other damage happen to the chapel other than the one that we ignored. So that's pretty good. So what would normally happen at this point is that we would be able to distribute the spoils, the essences, and amongst the heroes, we would upgrade them. So, for example, we've got Lord Visceret up here who has he's got 7 essences and 1 ascension. So this would give him the chance to either upgrade himself. So here's his. Let's see if we can get a good. Oh, that's a little too. So let me bring him right up here. So we could upgrade himself. So here's his regular, the regular side. We can upgrade to his beefier side. That'll give him 1 more speed, and gives him another die on his main attack, and 1 more hit point. So we could do that, or we could upgrade his other card. So this one has the list of his basic attacks on it. We could split that over. It gives him an extra. An extra skill that he can spend essence to use. The repel skill, which will actually push a wave back, and also reduces the costs of one of his other skills, which is the heavy blow. So we could decide to do one or the other. So over the course of the three tiers, we could upgrade them. The other thing that ends up happening is that we would upgrade there are upgrade cards for all the enemies as well. So the next rounds, instead of those attacks that I mentioned earlier, we would go. So here's the tier 2 Felstrafer here. Now rolls 4 die instead of 3. In the attack, the tier 2 Harvester has an increased speed, so he moves 3 spaces instead of 2. And the tier 2 Succubus, rolls 3 die instead of 2 on their attack, so they're a little bit harder. And then on top of that, on the subsequent ones, we have 2 event decks, one good, 1 bad. And the good one has things like, we'll draw 1 on every round. So this one says the speed of all waves is reduced by 1, so they wouldn't move quite as quickly. But on the opposite side, we have things like brute minions provide 1 extra dice to their wave, or the wave closest to the church has +1 armor, things like that. So we'd have to contend with those on tier 2. We're not going to go through a full game right now because this one did take me about an hour and 15 minutes to do, just on my own. It does actually tend to move a little bit quicker with more players because it's just slightly less fiddly, and 1 person can take care of each lane. So that's Vanguard of War. Lots of fun. Looking forward to all of the expansion content that's coming within the next couple of months. Extra heroes, different main villains. So like this big Taskmaster is just for this just for the whoops, that's the wrong camera. Just for the base game. So looking forward to seeing more of those. And also different abominations that you can put in there. So looking forward to more content for this one. Definitely a lot of fun to play. So that's the game for tonight. There will be no game night in Canada this weekend due to the long weekend. I'm going to be away, but that'll be back next weekend for sure. New reviews should be coming up tomorrow or Friday. Should be posted on www.theboardgamer.com. New Kickstarter spotlight just went up for a game about the Fantasy Village Firefighters, which was actually pretty neat. So go and check that one out. And so from me and from Wayne, have a good evening, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye bye.